Good afternoon. Welcome. This is the January 22nd, 2026.
This meeting is being recorded.
Northampton School Committee meeting. I'm Julie Scherer, the chair of the school committee, and I will be presiding this afternoon. This meeting is being held remotely on Zoom pursuant to the modification of the state's open meeting law for the pandemic, and this meeting and all participating will be audio and video recorded. And I will begin by asking the clerk to please call the roll.
One moment, please.
Sure thing.
Mayor Shara.
Present.
Member Bartoli.
Present.
Member Weissenfreund.
Here.
Member Montgomery Tomaclo. Oh, I haven't made her co-host yet.
She's not going to be able to join formally until a little bit later because of her work obligation.
Oh, she's
I
here.
saw
But
her come in.
She may have logged on, but she's not going to be able to participate for a little while.
okay. But we should still make her a co-host, I would say.
Yep, got that.
Okay.
Member Stein.
Not here yet.
And Member Martin.
Here.
Member Mahoney.
Present.
Member Reese.
Present.
Member Jewell.
Here.
Member Sainer Sullivan.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Okay, so there's only one item on the agenda for the special meeting, which is the discussion of a possible mid-year appropriation request. And I am going to hand it over first to the vice chair to give a brief introduction to the process.
Thank you, Chairperson Chiara. So first of all, I just want to thank you all. This has come up very last minute. There was a request from Member Weissenfreund and Member Montgomery Tomaclo to either place this on the February agenda or to hold a special meeting for it. Given the level of work that we have for February and the urgency of need in terms of appropriation for the schools, we felt it was appropriate to hold a special meeting, especially prior to the kickoff of budget season on the 29th of February, which is next Thursday. A lot of people have put in work into putting this appropriation together, the request. I know that there's been the request by the two members that were already mentioned with Member Stein. Superintendent Bonner has also worked with her team to come up with an appropriation that is based on what her schools, her principals, and their educators need. In addition to that, the rest of the members have put in a lot of work to talk to constituents and have a sense of what the community is thinking about and asking for. So this is very much a team effort. And my hope as well is that this meeting can continue on as a team effort, that we can respond to the presentation that Dr. Bonner will give to us, and that we can really work together to think how we as a group can work best on behalf of our students and the future of our community, particularly at a time when there's so many challenges around us. Seems to me that it's really on us as the grown-ups to collaborate and invest in the future, which is right before us. Finally, I wanted to say my hope is that we will, by the end of this meeting, be able to have a motion to approve a mid-year appropriation, and that we can then move forward with that, and the mayor can take that onward to the next step. So with that, I'll turn it back to the mayor.
Okay, thank you. And Dr. Bonner, would you like to go over what you shared with us? Oh, you are muted. Speaking.
Okay, let me share my screen.
Would you like me to do that, Dr. Bonner?
No, I'm there.
Okay.
Okay, just want to make sure that everyone can see the screen. We're good?
Yes.
Okay.
No, but we can
Okay, so I have to admit that this was a quick turnaround request to building principals. to really field out the needs of their staff in the buildings. And they provided this information swiftly to me on yesterday, and I compiled it very quickly. And I know that Cassie actually helped me by making sure that it was distributed on yesterday, so you had some time to review it. And with that quickness, there was one item that was left off, and I apologize, and it was not intentional. And I need to point out that it was actually the first one who responded, and that is our student services. So I will add that to that, and the amount will be $123,000 in terms of the request. So let me just kind of generally go through the request and how principals they did different things if they had an opportunity to have faculty meetings, short notice things. Most of the principals did a quick survey to their staff in terms of needs. And you will see that some of these requests you've seen before is not new. And I did try to really remind them that it was focusing on one-time types of requests, and it was not guaranteed that these would follow through into the next school year. So learning from what happened on last year in terms of mid-year requests and knowing what worked really well, you will see that there's going to be requests for tutors, over interventionists, and so on. So there seems to be four areas or four common theme areas that are presented here. So we'll start with the teaching and learning. You will see that staff members requested curricular materials. You will see that there's classroom equipment requested as well as professional development. And this is all to enhance the educational environment for our students. The second area that you'll see is some requests for facilities and infrastructure. And this is really just focusing on the physical improvements to the school building and necessary furniture, safety and logistics with, like, for example, campus monitors and the smart pass, which we'll talk about in a second. Student interventions is also in the midst of this. You'll see the requests of the tutors as well as the interventionists and tiered support, some pieces there. And then the special education services, which is an additional 123,000 that is not listed on this upon this chart. And that is really to provide overages in the contractual services that we provided during the course of this year due to the fact that primarily we could not fill certain vacancies, so we had to outsource. And then we had some new students to come into the district that required staffing or support staff, as well as new students who were identified for IEPs. So let's talk first about Bridge Street, and we know that all of our schools are precious to us. So you will notice that I did not total up because it's not about comparing. But so Bridge Street, they have made a request for reading and math interventionists. You will see the amount projected. Bobby helped out in terms of looking at what's the average salary range, and we took a portion of what that salary would be for the remainder of the year. So we're looking at approximately 80 to 85 days in which these individuals would be able to service our students. Just remember that it is a process. You all have to vote. I have to submit these pieces to the mayor. The mayor then in turn has to bring it to city council, and then they have to vote. So that's the time frame. And then we have to post for positions for 2 weeks. We don't have to wait to hire. We could, do the rolling interviews, but it does take about 2 additional weeks to get people on board based upon the Corey checks and so on. So just know the process of what it will take to get new staffing on board. Then also Bridge Street, instructional supplies. And then there were 2 facility-based requests, the carpet removal to be replaced with tile, and then new carpeting for the music room. Jackson Street has requested literacy and math tutors, and then a tiered support paraeducator. Now, the tiered support paraeducator is that works with our tiered support staffing, helps in terms of if we have to de-escalate or to work with a student privately, we have that additional support. And then there's curricular requests. So second step curriculum materials. So those of you who may not be aware of what second step is, that is our social emotional learning program as well as our anti-bullying program. And so they have shifted, and I say they, the company has shifted in terms of how they are structured now. It's an online service program. And so Jackson Street is requesting to update that version and to be able to have that as a resource for our tiered support staff as well as our staff. And Nucella, I cannot break down that acronym, but I will tell you what it is. It is a resource that is content based, but it's to build up the literacy skills for students. For Jackson Street, I think the focus was going to be ELA, as well as maybe science as well. And then there was a furniture request. In terms of specifics, it was so general. And again, remember that this was quickly put together, but I'm assuming that it's probably some replacement of some desks for students and so on. And then a request for professional development for the staff in that building. Leads would like, again, math and literacy tutors. And they have also requested 2 part-time paraeducators for lunch and recess. And so, as you all are aware, these are the vulnerable times where we don't have much staffing to be able to manage those areas. And so there is a request for paraeducators in those areas. And then some curricular requests, Ready Set Math modules. This would go hand in hand with our current supports and materials that we are currently using in our math curriculum. And then classroom supplies. So leads they really literally were requesting an opportunity for teachers to be able to purchase materials for their individual classrooms. So the estimate was about $150 per teacher to be able to provide some things for specifically for their classroom. And then some facilities needs in terms of 2 cafeteria tables to replace some tables that are in disrepair. Ryan Road, again, you'll see Ready Set Math is another common request. And they are also looking for some assistance with their positive behavior program, and that's what Swiss is attached to the positive behavior program. It actually helps students to have individual behavioral plans and to keep track of those plans. And then UFLI, and you guys are gonna I am going to try to explain everything because we do use a lot of acronyms in education, and I apologize. But UFLI is actually the University of Florida Literacy Institute. That's what it stands for. But it is one of the programs that we use for supplemental assistance and intervention for reading. Okay. So let me see if I can go to the next page here. Uh-oh. Okay, so the lovely thing about this is, there we go. Okay, so finishing up with Ryan Road, they also requested second step, and then some other additional curricular materials, like for instance, Scholastic News subscription. That's usually for social studies and some other areas. Science materials, math materials, and sensory materials. And then they requested 2 whiteboards. And then in terms of the personnel, they have requested 1 full-time clerical. And let me explain that for those of you who are wondering why the request. So 2 years back, we actually reduced the number of clerical hours at the 4 elementary buildings, and to the point where it took our 10-month secretarial positions, made them part-time. And so there were buildings who actually the 4 buildings shared 2 clerical, if that makes sense to you. And then last year there was actually an elimination. This was where some of the reductions occurred. So they are making the request to be able to get some more clerical assistance to take them throughout the school year. Again, reminding them that that this is a one-time funding request, but I will give you a heads up that is going to be a request in for next year's operating budget. Okay, and then also too, they would like a paraeducator for to help supervise recess and lunch. All right, JFK. So their request is they have a lot of equipment requests. So for instance, a projector screen, and I just want to let me just get Ketty's note there. The projector screen is to be located in, sorry, I believe the cafeteria. Yes, hold on. The current, it's in the cafeteria. So the current screen there was broken earlier this year, so they've been unable to use it. And they use that area for student assemblies. So this would be a real help for them to be able to replace that. The music classroom needs some additional equipment, science equipment, which is a real ask. And then there are 12 magnetic whiteboards that have been requested that will go throughout the building. And they also are requesting 2 campus monitors. We sometimes call them hall monitors, but that is to help in terms of ushering students to classrooms, making sure the hallways are clear, monitoring the bathrooms, and you're going to see that that request is also at the high school as well. All right, for the high school, and we've been talking about this for some time in terms of how to address the cohort of students who are not reading on grade level at the high school. And one of the things that we put in place already is to make our English classes smaller so that there could be more contact with the teacher. And then also there we have a special education teacher that provides the foundational classes for our students who are on IEPs. But the concern is that middle band of students who are not who do not have IEPs, but actually are, maybe on what we call tier 2 or tier 3. And we want to prevent them from moving into special education if they do not have to. And so addressing some of their needs. And so the request has been for a literacy interventionist. Now I quickly jumped down to, and then also a literacy assessment to better assess where their specific needs are. We won't say that they cannot read. They can read, but they're not reading to a proficient level in which they should be so that they can better access the content or the curricular areas. Okay, so a request for 2 campus monitors, and I will tell you that we are actually in the process of hiring campus monitors, and we would need help to make sure that we're able to pay their salaries. This is specifically to help us with our bathroom issue that we have at the high school. So we already have 1 already, so there will be 3, so 1 for each floor, and so that would be a significant help to the high school to begin to really resolve the concerns and issues around the bathrooms. Then we have the request of the Smart Pass. So the students actually shared and introduced this a couple of meetings ago, but the Smart Pass it's a new concept for Northampton in terms of getting a pass to be able to go to the bathroom, and it creates a log, and it also says if the bathroom is available and so on. So it begins to help us monitor who's going into the bathroom at specific times, and that may help us address the issues of vandalism and then the numbers of individuals who are in the bathroom and those who are taking advantage by staying in the bathroom longer durations than what they really need to. All right, and then there has been a request for updating the furniture in the goals program at the high school. And so now what I left off, which I shared with to you at the beginning, was the special education department is seeing a need for 123,000 to help to cover the overages in the contract services line and the additional paras that were hired for new students on IEPs. So if you include the 123,000, then the grand total request is $586,992.18. I got to find where that 18 cents came from. So, so I'm gonna stop here and turn it back over to the chair to see where we go next, if there's questions and so on.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Bonner, for that. I have some questions, but first I'm going to go to Member Weisenfreud and then Member Martin.
Great, thanks so much. I'd like to, since I'm one of the two members, and I do know that Member Montgomery Tomaclo has now been able to join us, since I'm one of the two members who asked for this meeting, and I'm so glad we're having it today. I'm going to also make a statement. So here it goes. So I'm very glad to be here with you this afternoon to discuss and hopefully approve, and Cassie, I'll send this to you, a request that the mayor bring a financial order to the city council for a robust and meaningful mid-year appropriation. We're here today because Member Montgomery Tomaclo and I requested an opportunity to discuss this critically important appropriation for our district. We also asked that Dr. Bonner come prepared with specific and prioritized suggestions that address the various crises, such as literacy interventions, resources to solve bathroom issues at the high school, non-compliance with IEPs, and so on. So thank you, Dr. Bonner, for your presentation. In preparation for this meeting, I, along with Member Stein and Montgomery Tomaclo, prepared and sent you a detailed proposal and mid-year appropriation request in the amount of $925,000. We hope to present this to you in a little while when Members Stein and Montgomery Tomaclo are both able to be here when they get out of work. As the proposal states, it is based on the needs identified by building principals and staff as part of last year's, the fiscal year 26 budget process. We developed this proposal with the best information we had, and we're aware that there may be minor omissions or additions that are not any longer correct, honestly, with so many cuts over time, and then some partial restorations. And with the real restrictions we have to communicate directly with NPS staff, we may not have gotten it 100% right. But as I said, we appreciate everyone's input. A mid-year appropriation is urgent. I know that most, if not all of you, ran for your seats because you want more funding for our schools, and you understand the critical nature of the need. We have listened to public comment from families, students, and staff. We have read the case report that, among other things, identified a deep erosion of trust, that's a quote, between the community, parents, and the school administration due to the impacts of devastating funding cuts and failures of communication. We're under investigation by the state because we're failing our students with disabilities. And while there appears to be agreement that the schools are in crisis, there isn't really a plan to fix it. Instead, many, both on and off this body, are bothered by the intense passion and sometimes, exasperation that we hear in the words of the public. And many of us feel beleaguered by the ongoing pleas and demands for a just budget. In our roles as school committee members, our charge is to put the needs of children first, and we don't have very much time to effect change. We could have talked, and we're planning to, I think, about a mid-year appropriation in December, but instead, two members and the mayor decided to attempt a bogus censure of Member Stein and myself. an effort that ended by withdrawing the agenda item and a public apology for having brought it in the first place. For the sake of our kids, we really don't have that kind of time to waste. And no one claims that school funding is simple, but our city is privileged to have the resources to meet the needs of our children, and providing adequate funding for our schools will not only alleviate the crisis, but it will also bring down the temperature in our city, something that all of us want and need. Let us all discuss and agree on a robust mid-year appropriation that will move us one step closer toward meeting the needs of our district. Lastly, and since we will be working together for the next 2 years, and we are a new body together, I want to make a comment about how the process around scheduling this meeting diminished accessibility and did not reflect what I assume are shared values of respect and collaboration. First, the date and time for this afternoon's meeting was set without our input. When I and others wrote to the newly elected vice chair and asked her to reschedule so that folks who work during the day could attend, both members of the body and the public, our requests were denied without explanation. When I stated in a follow-up message that this time caused hardship for me personally and asked her to reconsider, the vice chair responded in a cold and dismissive way. You will note that member Montgomery Tamaclo had to be late, and member Stein is not able to be here yet because of their work obligations. Second, as is customary and courteous, neither member Montgomery Tamaclo nor I were invited to add any items to the agenda for the meeting that we requested. Third, our request that the presentation be circulated to all of you along with the agenda was not honored. I bring this up because members have already talked a lot about the value you place on collaboration, and I'd like us to reflect on how the actions I've described by the leadership of this body around this meeting do or do not reflect that value. I'll have more to say later, and that's it for now. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Member Martin. Oh, you're muted.
Thank you. Couple things quickly, just one point of order. My understanding at this is that this meeting actually is ending earlier than is put on the agenda. Is that correct? Could we have clarification on that?
Sure. So I believe that for multiple members, 5 o'clock or maybe, excuse me, a little bit before 5 o'clock is when they need to end. I need to end around 5 if possible. And I think for a couple other members, that's also the case. So we could, if they needed to leave, we could potentially lose quorum.
Okay, thank you. I had heard even earlier than that, but still, given that this is a large topic and very, very important, as Member Weisenfreund pointed out, for our community, I would like to make a motion that we consider an alternative mid-year appropriation proposal that Member Jewell is prepared to present to you now, if we are able to do that.
Sure. I mean, you can bring anything to the table that you would like.
Would somebody like to second that motion?
Second.
Second. Third.
I think the motion was made by Member Martin. I think it was seconded by Member Mahoney.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so this is one that includes a lot of the information from the document that
Member Jewell, I'm having a hard time hearing you. I don't know.
I'm sorry, it's my radiator. It's very loud. So this document, let me get it up, includes the asks from the principals and the many of the asks from the. Can you see that?
Not yet. Yes.
Okay.
Excuse me, did we need a vote on that? On the motion?
I'm sorry, what was the motion again?
1 second.
The motion was to consider this mid-year appropriation proposal that member Jewel is
Right.
presenting.
Right, so the motion's been made and seconded, so we're now in deliberation of it.
Oh, okay.
So,
Thank you.
okay. This includes, I mean, it's not perfect. This includes the information that we were given from Dr. Bonner on school needs, and then also a lot of the information from the proposal shared by member Montgomery Tamaklo, with taking into like there were a few things that needed to be corrected when we gathered information. And so it's looking at kind of two different tiers. The first one being staffing. And this doesn't include the request from student services because we just found out about that. So including interventionists, special education teachers, tutors, clerical support, para educators for first grade, which weren't on the request, but we've heard from multiple community members that that would be helpful. And I can't remember what else. I'm not going to read through the whole thing unless you want me to. And then it also includes the more immediate operational repair and essential supplies, with a ending request of $667,175. And I also know that member Montgomery Tamaklo has presentation to share when she is ready. Is there anything you wanted me to add to this? I'm sorry, I am like very feverish right now, so I cannot function properly. But Dr. Bonner, oh, sorry, I'm not taking questions. That is
Yeah,
for our chair.
Yes, Dr. Bonner.
Yes, so I would just ask that member Joel, if you would add the 123, the 123,000 for special education services.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to stop sharing so I can do that more easily. Is that okay? Or does anyone need me to keep sharing?
Is it possible to email this so we could all look at it on Tube?
Yeah, I didn't know the rules around that with open meeting law and stuff.
Cassie, could you send it to Cassie and then Cassie could email it? There's just no way to see it and
Yep.
also see all of you. Okay. So since there's been a motion, it's to this proposal. So discussion on is discussion on this.
I thought the proposal was just to hear the motion was just to hear the proposal.
Well, I asked for what the motion was before, and I thought it was on the proposal. Am I wrong? What was, Cassie, could you read me the motion?
Yes. Come on. Okay, sorry. I'm technically crippled today. The motion is that we consider an alternative presentation that member Jewel has prepared.
Okay. I mean, I would interpret that as the motion is that we are considering this presentation, what has been presented.
I don't know what that means.
That the motion on the floor is for what was just presented.
To approve it
Yes.
as the mid-year appropriation?
No, to consider it. I thought.
Well, you can consider, you don't need a motion to consider something. Right? I mean, it's part of a discussion. if you want to withdraw the motion and then there's no motion, that's fine. But I thought the motion was to to consider, meaning to approve it. Consider whether or not this is what the committee would like to recommend. Okay.
Well, I see Member Montgomery Tamaclo's hand up, and as part
I
of
think
this was also based off of the work that she did.
I was about to call on her.
Okay.
Okay. Member Montgomery Tamaclo?
I think it's premature to consider voting on this when we haven't presented the presentation that we shared first. I think if it makes the most sense to have, we have Dr. Bonners, we have Member Jules, and then we have the presentation that we sent the body, I think Tuesday. So I think it would make the most sense to review ours and then we make a vote.
Yeah, there's no call for a vote right now. There's just on the floor for discussion. Okay. Any further discussion on that? Since this incorporates Dr. Bonner's, what Dr. Bonner presented, I'm going to ask Dr. Bonner a couple questions if there are no other questions at this moment. For Bridge Street, JFK, and for the high school, there's some things that definitely would fall under capital requests. Do you know why these weren't put forward for the capital plan?
That is the same question that I asked as well. And I know that we had that same issue last year in terms of some things that were considered to be capital. So as far as I know, these two items are not on the capital in terms of the carpet removal and the new carpeting for music. And no furniture requests are on the capital. So, that is a question that I can ask Tony Cusniers in terms of, is this something that he's considering? Is it on schedule? Is it planned for capital, but just maybe not coming up for this year or that year or the next year?
Mm-hmm.
So,
thank you. That would be helpful because it's just confusing to me why it wouldn't be, like the NHS furniture for goals program as well. And also the science equipment, I don't know what it consists of, whether it would be considered capital or not, but as those meet the threshold for dollar amount threshold, I'm curious why it wouldn't have been put forward for capital. Member Stein.
Yes, just two thoughts on the capital piece and then sort of a question about where we're at. I think at least for the carpet, it was in the budget, the regular budget request last year, which is why we brought it forward this year. But again, like I suggested this before, and I really hope we can do it. There's never a presentation of the capital plan to the school committee or the budget and property. And I think it might be helpful, given all the questions you just raised, that we actually start to have those conversations rather than it being sort of sent along without any committee awareness or involvement to the planning, the SIP. So yeah, we'd never see it. We never discuss it unless we see it through these sort of budget requests. The only person that sees it is if there's an appointed member here, but that's after it's already been submitted, not in its formulation, and we don't vote to authorize it, etc. So it'd be great if we change that going forward. But I'm curious about where we're at. I know there was the motion to hear Member Jules' proposal. When we're in deliberation about hearing Member Jules' proposal, or that's the motion on the floor?
Yes, the motion on the floor is to consider it.
Okay. And so our options would be either to move to amend right? I guess my question would be, and I don't know the answer to it, is whether or not we can just have the other presentation in deliberation about this under this motion, or if we need to resolve this motion ahead of time, since it's not actually doesn't seem to have called for a vote, a consideration. Can we have the other presentation and then amend motions, I guess?
Yeah, I think it's fine to do the other presentation now.
Okay, thanks.
But okay, Member Jewel.
I was just going to add on to what Mike was saying. As a part of my presentation was also to look at Montgomery Tamako member presentation because they could be considered together.
Okay. So would someone like to speak to that? Member Stein?
Sure, happy to. And you know, I had to join late to the meeting. I just got here, so I apologize if anything I'm sharing with you has already been shared or if points have been addressed that I didn't hear. So I apologize for that as well. And you know, the discussion that follows can surely update me on those items. I don't know if someone could share the slides. I do not. I'm having some computer problems with sharing on Zoom right now. I don't know if Cassie could or one of my colleagues, but I will say in general, the approach we took in formulating this was to really look at the last 2 years of cuts and requests from building principals. And you know, that's not a perfect way to look at this, right? There are a lot of moving pieces. We pass a budget. It doesn't mean that what's presented as a line item actually happens during the year and there are not changes. It doesn't mean there are not other mid-year appropriations or other changes during the budget process, right? So things can change. It's imperfect, but it is what I think was probably the best starting place for us to develop a potential ask. And you know, there's prohibitions on our ability to talk, right, to alt team and get feedback from them. So there's a lot of limitations on what can be done. So I appreciate everyone understanding that elements of it could be imperfect, right? It's a starting place. The other thing I think that bears repeating, and we talk about a little bit here, is, you know, even in the last FY26 budget cycle, we still hadn't gotten the DESI findings. We hadn't gotten, I believe, the first case report. And these things put a sharper focus on some of the deficiencies we had and some of the things we needed to resolve, right? And I was struck reading back in the documents from the budget presentations from each of the schools last year, some of the predictable consequences that we were warned of, right? And in light of those DESI findings and the case report, it really, you know, hit home to me what was, you know, what the consequences were. We've estimated these figures based off of some of the prior line item budgets for similar positions, right? It's always going to depend who you hire, what step they're at, what credentials they have, etc. Start date will also impact it. We've estimated this being a half year, 5 months. So if we were to start sometime in February, these are rough estimates, right? It's not the exact dollar because you don't know when, if it gets approved, if it gets posted, when you hire, how it gets spent, right? So these are rough figures. And we went through and did requests by schools, mirroring the requests that were included in the budget presentations, which give a profile of the school, gives a listing of the staffing, and gives a summary of the requests by the principals and by that building for the fiscal year, right? And so you'll see here that there was a FY26 budget ask from Bridge Street School for 1 full clerical, 1 math interventionist, 1 reading interventionist, and 1 special education teacher. There was also the request for the fence and the carpet replacement and the carpet removal and tile for another area in the school. One of the things they highlighted was the dire need for interventionists and the rationing that was going on and the amount of students that they were projecting at that time who would qualify but were not getting those services. So that informed those elements of our proposal. Jackson Street, we looked at their budget ask, right? They wanted one reading or math interventionist for grades 3 through 5. They wanted 2 full-time paras for special education, and they wanted to bring in-house contracted RBT services with a 1 FTE support team para. They wanted the secretary restored to 1 FTE. They wanted additional money for professional development, money for interpretation services for meetings, and money for, I don't understand this, but because I don't know the building that well, but money for a teacher accommodation line for AC. So that was the ask that they had. The 26 budget ask was for the lead school was to increase the BCBA to 1 from 0.67, to add 2 floating paras, and to add a 0.6 math interventionist. Ryan Road School, the FY26 budget asks were curriculum support, professional development, workbooks. So again, for the new curriculums that we've invested in, they needed the consumables to utilize them in the classroom. So illustrative math workbooks, literacy curriculum decodables, and supplemental informational texts, 1 special education teacher, a tiered support paraeducator, and they wanted the clerical restored to 0.5 FTE. JFK, the budget asked for 1 FTE school adjustment counselor to serve the ALP and ASD programs, 2 paraeducators, a 0.5 FTE Spanish teacher. And then to that, we added 1 social, there was a wish list too. They wanted to create I believe a banana splits group is what they called it in the slides. They wanted a social studies and science teacher to decrease class sizes. I was really struck in the budget, reading the budget proposal again from last year about the impact of the lack of staffing for the ALP and ASD program when it came to addressing behavioral issues and crises, and the amount of time that was taking from the BCBA and the what they thought a school adjustment counselor to serve that program could do. Northampton High School, 1 FTE English teacher, 1 FTE psychologist, 1 special education teacher, a full-time 504 and MCAS coordinator. We don't have MCAS anymore. We still have 504 plans. We have other requirements. To this, we added a reading interventionist and 1 special education teacher, in addition to the 1 that was lost. And that sort of was our thinking based off of those prior presentations and some of the other documents we found. We did the costing estimates as I outlined, comes into roughly $925,000 by those math with those assumptions. And thank you for listening.
Thank you. Member Stainer Sullivan, I saw your hand, but now I don't see you. Oh.
Yeah, I'll go. So I appreciate all this information that the different members have brought forward. I would like to point out that 5 of 6 current school principals, soon to be 7, the special education director, the curriculum director were all hired by Dr. Bonner in her time with us. She's built a team and relationships and is the person we hired to collect accurate, real-time information about what each school needs. She is our superintendent through June, I believe, and then we'll have a new one, hopefully. And it's my intention to support and use the professionals that we hire to do the specific work they were trained for. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody who hasn't yet spoken who would like to? Oh, Dr. Bonner, would you like to add something?
I just like for clarification, Member Stein had mentioned the accommodation request for one of the schools. So like our students, we also have some staff that are on 504 plans. And so any supports that we can put in place, that's where that money would come from. So that I just wanted to clarify that. So in terms of what that line means. And then the second piece is that we still do have MCAS. I just wanted to make sure that the public knows that it has not gone away.
Okay, thank you. Again, I'm going to see if there's anybody who has not yet spoken who would like to. Member Mahoney.
I do appreciate the proposal that Member Jewell put forth in that it highlights the need that we have been hearing the most about, which is the bathrooms, so the monitors and the interventionists. So I do appreciate how that was broken down, highlighting the immediate staff needs. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
I'm in a meeting. I'm sorry.
Cassie, we can hear you. I'm going to mute you.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, I'll go back to Member Martin.
So I do really appreciate what Member Stein, Weisenfreund, and Montgomery Tamaclo put forward, and all the thought and work that you put into that. And I think that there's a lot of agreement between all three proposals for needs that are super important for our district to address. And I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to agree on a proposal to move forward, because we have the sooner we can hire these folks, the better we're going to be able to meet our kids' needs. And I also just really want to appreciate the folks who reached out to us. We heard from a couple handfuls of folks who emailed in with different perspectives on this, and your voices are really important. And those of you who didn't email in, please do. We want to hear from more of you with all of your different perspectives. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to have polished points of view. Your stories are really important for us all to understand what's going on for your kids and your families in the schools. So know that your thoughts are welcome in whatever way that you can share them. I guess I do want to, if my motion wasn't clear enough, I would like to make a motion to have a vote and deliberation on Member Jewell's proposal, which I think includes really important elements from both of the other proposals, and looks at what's possible for implementing this year, while we simultaneously will be building the budget for next year, which of course is going to be a huge undertaking. And I do believe, like, one of the main differences between the two proposals that I see is between the other members' proposals and Member Jewell's proposal, and the superintendent's proposal is regarding professional teaching staff. And my understanding is that it is easier and faster generally to hire for the interventionists, the paraeducators, the tutors, and even for a special education teacher, like the classroom setup is already in motion. Classrooms have been set up to divide them. From what I've heard and learned, it can be really disruptive to do that. When those classroom teachers might be hired in March or so, but that these other positions can be brought in more quickly and have a more immediate impact on really high needs that are critical for us to begin addressing as soon as we can. So I think that's some of the strength of Member Jewell's proposal, that is trying to find a path forward that really addresses these critical needs in a way that can work this spring. I do make a motion that we adopt Member Jewell's proposal.
Seconded.
Motion's made by Member Martin, seconded by Member Mahoney. I see Member Reese and Member Bartoli who haven't spoken yet.
Just a point of order on, I think we need to motion to amend the motion on the floor. Right, because we're deliberating on that original motion, right? This is the whole thing about starting from that point, right? So you're making a motion to amend the original motion to consider the proposal, to change it to approve the proposal, right? I think if I understood where we were, I think we have to do it that way because you can't just make any motion when there's a motion on the floor.
True, we had motion to consider it, whatever that means. Okay, so so your motion would be to amend the previous motion.
Yes, thank you for your help with all of that. Definitely a learning curve with all of this, and your help is appreciated. And yes, I make a motion to amend my motion to consider to change it to approve Member Jewell's proposal.
And I second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm going to go to Member Bartoli and then Member Reese, who haven't spoken yet. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so Chairperson Chiara, I'm wondering if I can address this question to you. As you look at Member Jewell's proposal and in your capacity, not just as chairperson, but also as mayor, what is your sense of your ability to advocate for that proposal to City Council in a presentation?
Well, I really haven't gotten a chance to look at it carefully, and it
Okay.
I see it's now come into the email, but I haven't really been able to look at it. So what exactly we'd be able to do right now regarding one-time funds for this current fiscal year, and then recurring expenses that that need supporting revenue beyond this year. I can't tell you today, and I can't based on what I'm seeing. And it's still nebulous to me whether these are really one time, like this is a one time, those are all one time requests, requests for one time funds, or whether, I heard Dr. Bonner say that they would then, something would then appear, would be asked for in the upcoming budget. So some of them are clearly one time, like that's easy. Some of them are not really clear to me if they're recurring or not. And as we're currently in the midst of developing our FY27 revenue projections and, which will be presented next week, and then those will guide the budget process for the next 4 months. It's hard for me to be able to say right now.
Okay.
And it really, a lot of it depends on if it's one time or recurring, like,
Okay, and then just to follow up on that question, do you have the same concerns about what you've seen presented by Dr. Bonner, or do you have a different sense of that proposal?
I mean, as it is, I think the total, I also don't have a clear total in my head of what Member Jewell's is. If someone knows it, they can
Yeah.
help me with that
I
one.
believe it's about 700,000, I think.
It's $790,175.
So
And that
obviously,
does 790,175.
obviously that's more, significantly more. And so, again, it just makes the question larger about what could possibly be handled with one-time funds this year. And, just so people understand, anything that is recurring, if it's starting, like, let's just say starting at the halfway point of the year, which it wouldn't be, but just because it's easier math wise, you would then have to more than double it for the next year, because it would be for the full year, and then you'd have to add it. Generally recurring would be staff. You then have to add the negotiated increases for the next year. So it would be more than double what the number is for presented now.
Okay.
So, that would have to see whether it could fit into the school committee budget. And, something that would certainly help in these conversations over the next couple months is if, the superintendent along with the alt team and the full school committee, but budget and property could really re-examine the full MPS budget and explore the possibility of different adjustments or things that could be done differently that would help facilitate the meeting of these sort of shorter term asks and support the operations in the long run. But we will,
Thank you for
I
that.
will take whatever the school committee recommends and we will, look at it and do our best to accommodate certainly what could be accomplished with one-time funds. Okay,
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Member Reese.
Thank you. So I just wanted to add a fact about Member Jewel's proposal, which is that I probably don't have time to go through, but combing through the slideshow that we were presented with, there were 4 points that either I think have been addressed elsewhere, or we've been told are duplications, or things like that. So it was with those clarifications of potential redundancies or things that have already been addressed that we lowered that proposal by about $197,500. So that is an explanation for that discrepancy, is basically just corrections. And we don't have time to go through all the items. I just want to say that.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Member Stein.
Thanks. Just a few comments for consideration. The first is sort of addressing the perspective shared by Member Sainer Sullivan. I just want to remind the body that the recommendation from the alt team and from our superintendent was the strong budget, and that was the one that was voted 8-1 and passed last year and not funded. So when we talk about respecting the educators and the team and their recommendations, let's be serious about it. The other thing is we're drawing from recommendations from educators. So I don't understand the sort of criticism. And there's also, frankly, not a great track record here at bringing to our attention needs. And what I mean by this, the only reason we're getting this discussion is because 2 members forced it to happen, right? And the previous vice chair was dissuaded from having this conversation. So we're in a difficult space of like, do we have problems that we want to solve or not? And I feel like we're kind of like in this cycle of making cuts that we know will harm the district, then fighting about mid-year appropriations while pretending that we're talking about one-time funds, even though the IEP violations are recurring violations and the lack of interventionists are recurring failures to provide intervention services. And I feel like, what is the perspective and what are we trying to do? What are the issues we're trying to solve? And we spent a lot of time last year going through every item in the budget. And I will tell you that we are highly constrained on where you can cut or reallocate resources when so much of what we provide is prescribed in plans and prescribed in class sizes. There's not a lot of creative thinking and creative solutions out there that will materialize the ability to absorb interventionists or other resources needed to solve our problems. So the question isn't for us, how do we square a circle that's impossible to square? It's, do we actually want to try to solve a problem or not? And we're going to get more information about the scope and dimensions of our problem when we get that second case report on secondary special education. And so like the effort here really is to say, we knew we weren't doing enough. Since the budget was passed, we learned more about how poorly we were doing. And here are some steps we could take to try to ameliorate it. I'm not seeing like a detailed presentation that's saying, this is how we will address a problem. I'm seeing a presentation from the superintendent where, essentially had to give something, but like, maybe this was talked about, but where did the hours come up with? Are they mapped to service needs? Where do the hourly rates come from? Like, what is the problem we're trying to solve that this will solve? And I feel like instead it's, hey, give me a kind of solution to some of your problems that won't be recurring positions. And then we'll hopefully get that passed and we'll do something. And then we'll do it all again where we'll make cuts and we'll come back and do this. It's just a really inefficient, damaging way to run a school system. And we've got to chart a different path. And that frankly means more resources, or the reallocation of those resources in ways that people will not like at all. And I don't think that's sustainable for the district.
Dr. Bonner, can you quickly answer the question about the hour, how the hours were?
Yeah, I actually did that at the beginning in the presentation, so I'm sorry that Member Stein did not hear what I said in terms of what was based upon the allocations and the numbers that were created in the first initial presentation. So just to remind you, we base the hours and the time on either 80 days for Unit A or 85 days for Unit C. And then we also, in terms of the hours, I believe the hours for the tutors are in the notes of your diagram. So you can refer to that 480 hours at $35 per hour to give you the total that you see in the projected cost for those tutors.
That's my
Then
question.
excuse me, I didn't interrupt you. So to be respectful, I'm going to finish breaking it down. I worked with my business administrator to project those numbers based upon the remainder of the school year for those services. Thank you.
So my actual question is,
I don't have the floor, Member Stein.
oh, could I ask a follow-up about my question?
Very,
about the
very
hours?
briefly, because we're already over time and you just had a lot of time.
My question is for those 480 hours, which are identical between two elementary schools, how is the need for the intervention services calculated to be exactly the same for both buildings for the kids that need services?
So that showed your limited understanding because it's an amount of hours. So we don't know in terms of one child who might have an intervention need may need 5 hours, another child may need 10. So they can draw from the bank of hours that's available for them. And then once those hours are done, then that's it.
You prove my point, though, that it's based on a bank of hours, not on the need. Thank you.
Dr. Bonner, can if these are not questions you can answer very quickly, then you can tell me at another time. But I thought I'd heard you say that we had already were hiring for more hall monitors at the high school. Are these in addition?
No, these are the ones that we're hiring for to offset our current operating budget.
Okay, but you had said that they were within budget.
No, let me clarify. So we've already posted for those positions knowing that there is a need. And so whether we receive this allocation or not, we have to provide that service. So we would have to look at something else that we would have to have a line transfer from another area to be able to cover those costs.
Okay. And are there currently vacancies for like budgeted positions that haven't been filled?
There are, but I don't have that in front of me, Mayor.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Okay. Seeing none, we have a roll call, and the motion on the floor is, Cassie, can you reiterate it? There she is.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. I just can't see you anymore, so
Motion is to amend the motion to approve Member Jewell's proposal.
okay.
Would we add the dollar amount, please?
Yes, that would be helpful. Which is, and that proposal is for 790,175 is what I wrote down. Yes?
Correct. It was emailed to everybody, and that number is I believe, in the top of the proposal.
Okay.
So if you add the 123,000.
Sorry. Yep.
That's where you got to that total. Okay.
That's 913,175. Because I don't think that had been added in.
Okay.
It is added in.
It's added into the 79.
Yes. So
on Member Jules.
yes, so it should be at the bottom, that total. There was the two numbers, the subtotal for the two charts, and then there's an asterisk with the 123, and you should have a total at the bottom of that.
Yes, the 790 does include the 123.
Okay. Okay, so, and I'm just gonna say right now, I'm gonna be abstaining, one, because it's a request to me, so that's kind of weird to vote on that. But as I've said, at this moment, I have to look at this more closely and look at the the projections that we're gathering to see what is actually doable. So I'm explaining why I'm abstaining. Before we vote, Member Weisenfreud, did you have one
Yeah,
last?
so should the motion include a request for the mayor to bring a finance order for 790,175 to the city council?
I would accept that as a friendly amendment.
And the request should be that the superintendent submits this to the mayor, and then the mayor will decide in that term. So you have to remember that the governing body, the order of how things should be is that you make that request. And I know Member Stein is probably, he's got his hand up to say that we request that the superintendent, or you, however, whatever wording you want to use, to submit this to the mayor for consideration of next year's appropriation and to bring to city council. And Mayor, am I correct? This is what we did last year.
Yes, I believe that's right. Member Stein, quickly.
I'm just trying to think through. I'm trying to think where we are procedurally, right? So we had a motion to amend that we're debating. So I guess we need a motion to amend the amendment on the floor. Yes. I'm gonna make a motion to amend the amendment on the floor. Can we do that? I think we can if we vote for it. And then we still have to vote on the whole thing. Sorry, I'm trying to think through this.
Is it, why don't we could just vote on the amendment and then amend it again? It might be, I don't know. Might be faster.
Yeah, we could do it that way. That's probably a better way to do it. Yeah, so I'd move the question, so we would vote on this and then we can amend it to include this other language we were just talking about and then do a final vote.
Okay, but we're not going to vote to move the question because we're in agreement, I think. So we're not going to spend time on that.
Okay, great. Yep.
So everybody clear?
I would appreciate just a little run through again of exactly what's happening.
Okay, so Cassie, the motion is as you have it right now.
To amend the motion to approve Member Jewell's proposal for 790,175.
Okay. Got it? Roll call.
So if it passes, then we're debating or amending that thing that we just passed. Or if it fails, we go back to the original motion, which was consideration of Member Jewell's proposal.
Yep. Okay.
Ready?
Yes, roll call, please.
Member Bartoli,
Yes.
Member Weisenfreund,
Yes.
Member Montgomery Tamaclo,
Yes.
Member Stein,
Yes.
Member Martin,
Yes.
Member Mahoney,
Yes.
Member Reese,
Yes.
Member Jewell,
Yes.
Member Sainer Sullivan,
Yes.
You skipped me, abstain.
oh, because you said abstain. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so it is now amended. Member Stein.
I'd make a motion to amend the motion on the floor to state that we are directing the superintendent to bring an order to the mayor to present to city council for the dollar figure. Can someone give me the dollar figure?
790,175.
791,000 and
790,175.
Right. That dollar amount conforms to the list of positions that member Jewell presented.
I second.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Amy?
Amy?
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Can I, what, the list of positions, do you mean the items?
Yeah, I mean, the reason I'm doing this is because last time we passed an amount
Uh-huh.
and we didn't get that amount presented and we didn't get the items that we anticipated having presented. So I want to send a very clear signal on what the expectation of this vote is for the order that is brought to you.
Okay, can you read back the motion, Cassie?
Amend the motion on the floor to direct the superintendent to bring an order to the mayor to bring to the city council 790-175 that conforms to the list of positions that member Jewel presented.
Okay, just to be clear, you can't order me to bring it to the city council.
Right,
So-
it's a request.
Right,
But we can direct the superintendent present it to you.
correct.
Are
Okay,
you ready for roll call?
yes. I did, well, sorry, any further discussion I should ask? Is there any further discussion? Okay, yes.
Member Weissenfreund?
Yes.
Member Montgomery Tomaclo?
Yes.
Member Stein?
Yes.
Member Martin?
Yes.
Member Mahoney?
Yes.
Member Reese?
Yes.
Member Jewel?
Yes.
Member Sainer Sullivan?
Yes.
Mayor Shara?
Abstain.
Member Bartoli?
Yes.
Yes.
Huh. Okay, that was the only item on the agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Seconded.
Okay, motion's made by member Mahoney. I missed who the second was.
Renika.
Okay, seconded by member Montgomery Tomako. Roll call, please, on adjourning.
Member Montgomery Tomaclo?
Yes.
Member Stein?
Yes.
Member Martin?
Yes.
Member Mahoney?
Yes.
Member Reese?
Yes.
Member Jewel?
Yes.
Member Sainer Sullivan?
Yes.
Mayor Shara?
Yes.
Member Bartoli?
Yes.
Yes.
Member Weissenfreund?
Yes.
Great. Okay.
Passes unanimously.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.